What's going on, everyone? And welcome to this week's backtesting session. This week, as promised last week, we're going to do a deep dive on the trades that I've taken or that I've been backtesting in my previous sessions since revising my plan to what it is now. And the purpose of the session is just for strategy optimization, trying to find those insights that are going to lead to those 1% tweaks that are going to help me optimize the strategy. So as you know, we've got about 2 weeks now till the challenge. This was the third week. So 2 full weeks left. So I'm doing a major revision of, not major, I guess, but it's a revision of the plan this weekend. Those changes will come largely from the insights gained in this session. And you can see I'll be focusing on the backtesting sessions from when I revised that plan, revised interim plan. If you see, if we go in here, there's 3 trades. And then from the interim plan that I was backtesting, I've got about 9 trades here. Week 32, which was last week, August 12th to, well, actually not August, it's just the days I was backtesting, because this weekend was my weekend off. Week 32, there were 5 missed trades, and then mitigating losing setups is from the latest ICT lesson. We got 2 trades. So all in all, we've got about 21 trades to backtest, and yeah, I'll be doing it all in TradeZella. So it's going to be a bit of a schlep for now because I'm backtesting here in Notion, and then I basically have to import all my data into TradeZella to then obviously get the insights that TradeZella produces. So it's going to be a combination of my own insights that I'll get from the template that I've sort of got, or that I created. But then from the tags and information that I put on there, TradeZella will also produce some insights there. So I doubt I'll get through all the trades in this session. We're going to run for about an hour. It's the end of the day. I'm using the last hour of bandwidth that I have. It's also a fasting day. So yeah, using, literally mustering up all the discipline I've got for today. But yeah, if I don't finish it today, which I suspect I won't, then the results of the session will be in my weekly review tomorrow. So this is kind of going to be more detailed on the step-by-step process of logging those trades and walking you through the insights. And then the weekly review, which will be released on Sunday, will be the outcomes of that, and then also the plan then that I've revised, which I'll be trading then for the following week. So I'll stick mainly to this page. I'm in my playbook here, this current interim plan. Just come to playbook and see interim. It's not really high time frame strategy anymore. It's kind of developed. But yeah, this isn't the current net P&L because there's still about 3 trades from this week that I need to log. It'll be, I guess, 2 winners, 2 losses, which may or may not average out to break even. I'm just holding your USD, and I'll have to close this manually. Yeah, at about 9 p.m. That's South African time. Yeah, because I can't hold this over the weekend, but I will close this hopefully with some profit unless I get stopped out before then. So yeah, coming into missed trades. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with TradeZella, basically how you do it is you create a missed trade. Obviously select Forex, whatever pair we're going to do, but I'll walk you through it now. and we can, yeah, we can do that together. Um, but I'll have to pull up my position size calculator because it's quite accurate in when you log trades, you actually put in your contract multiplier, number of contracts. Contract multiplier is going to be standard across all pairs. It's 100,000. And then it's 100,000 contracts. And then the multiplier is going to be the lot size that we use. Yeah, and then once I've done that, then it opens up pretty much the journal or trade review. And then, yeah, once we have that info, I then open up the template and then I can start putting in the information. So, yeah, without any further delays, let's get right into it. So I'll be starting from the revised plan. 3 trades here. Let's jump straight into it. I think for the purpose of time, it normally takes quite long for me to upload the screenshots in each trade because I have to save it and then word it, then upload it. So I won't do that now, even though because I also have the screenshots on my Notion. For example, if I just come in here under revised interim plan, you'll see I've got, all my various screenshots here. So I can I know what that's about. Yeah, so I'll just be logging the information and then, yeah, we'll take it from there. So the first trade is USD ZAR long. So we come here, we search USD ZAR, then we create that new execution. This was on, and this is why I actually didn't want to start on this one, but it's just going to be for these 3 trades because the date and stuff isn't as accurate. But this is the 23rd of Jan at 4 p.m. We took that long trade. So back 23rd of Jan, time, it was 4 p.m. Take that there, 4 p.m. Contract multiplier. So for the purpose of the session, I'm going to use a flat account size of $9,300 because I think that's roughly where my account is at the moment now. We just, for example, risking, we'll just say 1%. And then our stop loss on this was 600. So it should be about 0.07. Oh, this is a 1%. So yeah, times 4, 0.28. So now we know we've got our lot size. So 100,000. I'll actually just copy that. 0.28. That was a buy. We bought at price was 19.02651. Commission fee, I'll just put a flat fee of 0.10 for all trades here on Euro USD. Yeah, I'll just put a flat fee of 0.10. My fees are pretty negligible, so I'm not too concerned about that. This one was a loss, just missed moving to half risk, so it was a full 1% loss, and that was the following day. So the 24th of January at what seems to be 9:30 in the morning. So 23rd of Jan, now 24th of Jan at 9:30 30 a.m. 100,000, 0.28 closed out. And then we sell because now we've sold out of the position with stop 1896, 651. And just put another, so collectively 0.10 on our fee. So once we save the trade, it shows up here as a loss. And then I can click into the trade. And then this is where the fun kind of begins. We've got templates, got our strategy optimization template. And then these are basically the questions I go through, and this is what we'll basically be reviewing. I'm going to aim to get through about 8 to 10 trades in the session. So yeah, just bear with me. First, I'll put in basically my R multiple, or my stop and profit loss, just so we can see what the R multiple was. Like I'd said, my stop was where I got stopped out, 18.96651, and TP at 19.20385. So you can see we're risking 1R for about 2.96, so about 3R. So that's okay. And then coming to our first question, and these questions were basically, there wasn't like a template on this or somewhere where I sourced this from. These questions were basically me asking myself, what confluences am I seeing? What insights do I think are relevant? What sort of information or data do I feel is significant, or should I be paying attention to gain some insights into my plan? And there was a brain dump of a whole lot of different questions. Some of the questions have, become tags, recognizing, daily highs or lows, or time-based liquidity that was swept, certain setups that I'm looking to differentiate between, all of that. And then I had some existing tags, and then questions where it was pretty blank, like yes or no, come here. And I wanted to, if there was a question where most of them I could have answered here, but I want to create tags because that's where TradeZella really like becomes powerful, and you can leverage it because then it digests that information for you and it categorizes it. So if I could, where I can make an observation a tag, I do. But if not, then it comes here, I journal it, and then I'll develop an insight from this. So was the interbank price delivery algorithm noticeable? If you don't know what that is, go back to the video. There's I think it's actually titled the volume distribution model on my one of my weekly reviews from some time ago. I think either in mid or early June. I called it something different back then. I thought I was smart and renamed it, but over time, I realized the proper name that it originally was actually fine, and I was overcomplicating it. So yeah, we now just come to where our entry is. I want to look on the 15-minute for this. This was a long position. So from what I can see on my long, oh, this is where I took the, So I took the long here. It was actually at about, well, I said 4 p.m. and then I exited here. So we're looking for consolidation, an expansion, and then a retracement, and then a continuation, or a consolidation, expansion, and then reversal. From what I can see from this day, the 23rd, we had this consolidation, but I mean, this was from the morning. We consolidated, and then we expanded. What's going on? That must be on. And no, that must be on. That must be on. We expanded on the day. That was over from late London, early New York. We reversed, and then we essentially continued lower, but not as clean as I would like to identify it. So I'm going to say no there. There was nothing clear there that I can see that respected that concept. What was the nature of the reversal candle? So if I just look at, so looking at my 15-minute here on my chart, the trade was taken at this candle. So we actually had, it was taken at the close of the second candle. So this would have been engulfing, retrace. Was a bit of an engulfing, but for me, an engulfing, I categorize that as, the wick engulfs the previous wick, and then the wick and the body of the candle engulf the previous candle entirely. Here we can see we didn't really engulf this wick down here, so I'd say this is more of a retrace candle. But then I think because it wasn't a very strong retrace, I waited for a second candle. So I'll call this a double opposing, which is basically a two candlestick confirmation, where we get two reversal sort of candlesticks in the direction that we're looking to trade in. Did a secondary order block form on the lower time frame after forming on the high time frame? So from here, I can see there was this order block here, but then look, it was violated a bit, but we can still count this. But this all depends on if there's an order block on the previous time frame, and I have my 1 hour screenshot here, and I can confirm that there was no order block. So we can just say no, because there actually wasn't an order block. Was there more resistance to the upside or downside? So if we, and this is mainly referring to our 1 hour and our 4 hour. So if I look at my 1 hour that I'm looking at here, the 1 hour at least, immediately there's more resistance to the downside, because on the we can see here, and I'll just use this drawing, this brush. Let's change that to black. So we can see, we can see that we had this entire sort of low resistance range here that we're trading in, and this is obviously the nearest point of resistance above there, and then there's those highs up top there, and this doesn't give me much to work with for. And then on the 4 hour, which I'm not sure if there's going to be much info, but I do have my 4 hour graph or screenshot here. Oh, here we go. We can see that, well, this is the only sort of clear point here, and then to the upside, there's that. So not too clear on the 4 hour either. But I mean, on the 4 hour, there's also this point here, which we were essentially banking on holding for price to hit higher. So I'm going to count 2 points on the 4 hour, and then obviously this 1 point up here. So we were pretty much at the top of structure, what it seems like on the 4 hour. So I'd say uh, clear, like given that sharp push to the downside. And then for our debatable, so unclear upside. And again, it's this is me just and sort of looking back on all the concepts I've learned and then trying to ask myself questions in terms of, did this trade respect those concepts? And then obviously depending on what the recurring themes are with the trades that I'm taking, that will inform how I move forward. When did price complete retracting? This is a minute 15. So we can see on this 15-minute, 3 o'clock was obviously market open. So we actually protracted after, because if we look at the direction in which price distributed in ultimately, it just means I got it wrong on this day. I took this as the protraction, whereas this was actually the impulse leg. And then this was the protraction counter to the bias that was playing out on the day. And then price, played out afterwards. And I took my entry at that open. So essentially at the start of that protraction. So whatever profit I saw on the day, because we went up slightly, that was the protraction. So I got caught in the protraction rather than waiting for it to play out before price headed lower. So after kill zone open, but then that's gonna obviously give me a bit of an insight because I took my entry at the kill zone open. So it means that I was early to this trade. So early entry, I can kind of just make a mental note of it and keep it there, but we're still going to get to the tags. Then does the 1 hour EPD align with where the market protracts to? So now that I know that the market was protracting higher, I can then and structure was essentially bearish. I can then, but we've established this on the 1 hour. I can look at where we corrected to. And I'm going to have to fix this up real quick because that is, I'm not trying to see rainbows, bro. Just think doesn't. That's the only thing about trades, that it doesn't save your templates. So I just need to deselect a whole bunch of the irrelevant ones. These can we just use one color and organize ourselves? We need 50%, that's equilibrium. We need 79%, that's the extent of our optimal trade entry area. These are all profit target zones. We need 705. So 50%, then it goes 70 to 62, 70.5 is the midpoint between 62 and 79, and then 79 our maximum level. We don't need to see prices, we just need to see levels, and I prefer it in percents. Let's also take out the background and let's clean this up a bit. I also maybe want these on the right. Okay, it's fine. Actually, not. It's not fine. I want it the way I want it. Where do you move this thing right? Let's see if there's any. You know what? It's fine. I'm gonna leave it. So let's save this though, this template, so that we can use it. Uh, actually, I just forgot that you actually can't save templates. So that's something I may have to do over time. But you can see that from the extent of this pullback, we actually pulled back into equilibrium and then we distributed lower. So 1 hour EPD did align with where the market retracts to, and it got to 50%, if you can see there. Mm. And did the markets distribute counter to the protection over the session? Yes, it did. Was price still in a daily EPD or well on its way to TP? So daily, look, this could be daily. On the 23rd, we weren't in EPD at all. So yeah, nothing on the daily. I know I asked about 4 hour as well. On the 4 hour, 23rd, price was at least that. So on the daily, actually just outright say not at PD. And then how large was my stop relative the average for this pair? So average stop for Euro USD, it actually ranges between 400 and 600. So because I don't do anything less than 400, but I tend to stay away from anything over 600. So 500, and then 100 just above average. If I re-entered, what was the outcome? If there was an opportunity to re-enter. In this case, there wasn't, because we can see as price stopped me out, it kind of just headed lower. So I'm looking for scenarios where my bias was long, I entered long, I got stopped out, but price still ran higher after that. And so then there might have been another entry long. In this case, my bias was long, I got stopped out, price continued heading lower. So my bias was just incorrect. So it means there was no sort of entry available. Um, so one, yeah, there we go. I'll just say not applicable. Cool. So that is this position. And now if I go into my tags, time frames, I just need to see if time-based liquidity was swept, and if we formed a high or low for the day. So back to our 15. So did we form a high or low for the day, or week or month? Or let's start with time-based liquidity, because we did sweep this as we came in. This was from 8 a.m. So that was, and then the day ended. So we did form another low, but we swept that. That was probably what, 1 hour? It was either session. So session weekly or daily. That was 8 a.m. That was 2 p.m. So it wasn't the daily. It wasn't the weekly because we carried on going low for the week. So it was the session time-based liquidity swept, and then was there a session high or low formed? We look at where price closed. Okay, so this was this one. So this was a session low in New York because yeah, we got out of New York, London, I mean, and then in New York we formed. This was our low point here. So I essentially entered at the session low, but obviously, oh, no, I'm lying. Yeah, entered at the session low, but we didn't form. So we formed a session low then, but look, the high wasn't too far off. So a session low formed, and this is the session that I took the trade in. Did a session low form, a daily low form, um, yeah, or high, whatever. So in this session, which is technically 1500, but I mean 1430 is pretty much pre-New York. We can say a session low formed, wasn't a daily low because we still formed this low here. And then we can say obviously a session high form. That's actually where I'm a bit conflicted with this is that even relevant if it's a session high or low, because there's always going to be a session high or low. So maybe I actually not include that because it doesn't seem very relevant. If it's a daily high or weekly high, then that makes sense. But um, there's always going to be a session high low. Yeah, I think that makes sense. If I'm not, or if you disagree, just leave a comment and let me know why I may be whiling there. Setups. This was 4 hour OTE daily. Didn't really seem too relevant. What's the daily saying here? Oh, so I'd used a larger sort of daily pullback. My daily was at OTE. And so daily was bearish. My setup was bullish. So we have daily short. So it was essentially a counter trend. And 4 hour at the time was still bullish. So technically counter trend to the daily bias. So we have counter trend, which is classified as. So yeah, let me take you guys through my setups quickly. And I think this speaks to what we got going on here. So basically there's 4 setups that I've derived from this plan, or 4 different environments that I take a trade, or types of trades that I take. Once we've mitigated our optimal trade entry, and arguably 2 of the setups are the same whether I've mitigated or not, I establish what my current 4-hour trend is. Whether it's counter trend or pro trend depends on whether we are at discount or premium. If we are at discount, meaning we have pulled back lower and now price is at daily discount, meaning I anticipate price to go higher, then if the 4-hour is trending lower still, it means that we are counter trend. If the 4-hour is trending higher, meaning we're at discount and now we've shifted higher, that means we are pro trend to the daily bias. So our 4-hour trend speaks to our daily bias, right? So I can be either counter trend or pro trend, depending on whether we are in a daily premium or discount. And then after that, I look at whether my entry is counter trend or pro trend, meaning that my 4-hour trend can be counter trend. For example, here in this Euro US in this USD ZAR setup, a 4-hour trend was bullish, but we were at daily discount, meaning we had mitigated EPD. 4 hours still counter trend though, and my setup then was counter trend, meaning we've got a counter trend 4-hour as well as a counter trend entry. If my 4-hour was counter trend, but then my trade is still pro trend, that's a different type of entry. As you can see, it has a different requirement. And on the other end of that, if we had mitigated discount or premium and my 4-hour then flips bullish, if it's discount on the daily, that means it's pro trend because now it aligns with the daily bias of we're deeply discounted and now we flip bullish. Now we pro trend. And then same thing again. I look at whether my trend is counter trend or pro trend. And then obviously, because it's coming from pro trend 4-hour and now counter trend, the criteria is arguably the same as a counter trend. But obviously, the 4-hour is different. It's pro trend, so that it makes a difference, or at least I suspect it will. And then obviously, if 4 hours pro trend and my entries pro trend, it's got the least restrictions on it. You can see we can head straight to execution. And so if my 4 hours pro trend and my entries pro trend, I'm calling that my optimal alignment entry because everything's aligned, the daily 4-hour entry, least restrictions on that in terms of entry criteria. If my 4 hours pro trend, but my entry is counter trend, I'm technically classifying that move as a pullback. Hence, I've called it my pullback rider entry. Don't ask me where I get these names. I just called it that. I know it's going to change over time, but I just needed something to call it. And then if my 4 hours counter trend, but my entry is pro trend, which is this setup that you're seeing here, counter trend 4-hour, but pro trend entry, which means that, for example, price is deeply discounted, 4 hours still counter trend, which means it's pulling deeper into discount, but our entry is pro the daily trend, which essentially means we are basically trying to call the bottom. I call that sniper entry because those are typically some of the high probability entries because you essentially trying to time your high time frame reversals. But hence, I need either daily or 4-hour order block to take that trade because that's where we see a lot of those high time frame reversals. Hence, I call it sniper entry. And if we are counter trend on our 4-hour and counter trend in our entry, that's called the resistance because price is resisting transitioning into this daily bias or in alignment with the daily. So that's basically how I classify these trades. And to be honest, that was probably more for me to understand the difference between those, even though I've been doing it, but have never really classified them or realized that they're actually 4 different types of setups, which will produce 4 unique sort of insights. And so this was counter trend on the 4-hour and counter trend on my entry. So that is a resistance setup, right? Mistakes, I've already sort of classified that. It was an early entry. Um, Session time-based liquidity was swept. And, excuse me. And then, yeah, we were targeting, our these buy stops above here. So it wasn't a fixed to be targeting buy stops. And I think that's really the only thing I can plug in there. So yeah, geez, it's just taken me 30 minutes to take you through one trade. But obviously I've been talking you guys through it, which yeah, took a bit longer. Um, so yeah, I'm probably gonna I'll try get through two more now, a bit less talking, because as you guys can tell, it takes a bit of time when I do. But that's essentially how I'm walking through this backtesting session. And if anything, it was more to give you guys a guide on how you can take not so much the not copy and paste like what I'm doing here, but just the format of how I'm going through this, because our strategies are going to be different unless you are following along and trying to implement the exact same strategy. Then you can obviously take this as it is. But if you have your own strategy, it's going to require you to develop your own unique observations based on what's relevant to that strategy. And so I guess for the purpose of that, the session could practically be done now. But I think just to give you guys a few other examples, because especially on this section here, there's a bit of discretion that is required on some of the points. We can go through two more. Yeah, so I guess we'll just aim to finish this first batch of trades, because there's three positions here on this first batch of backtested trades. Okay, so sorry, your boy took a 2-minute break. Okay, let's do this. The next one was, so all three of them actually I think were on USDZAR. So let's look at this last one too. Yeah, all on USDZAR. So that's cool. Maybe I would have known that if I just went to my notes and realized that I was actually only looking at USDZAR on the day. So that's fine. Forex. Let's go. And I'm just more gonna think out loud on here instead of talking through everything. 600 pips again. So same story. Accumulation, expansion, retracement, continuation. But that's very low time frame. I think that all played out within like an hour. I'll leave it up there. Moving and golfing. There wasn't. Okay, it actually was this order path. And we came and respected it, and then we carried on pushing higher. But okay, let's see. Nothing on the 1 hour. Yeah. Interesting here on the 1 hour, clearly more to the downside, entered here, but you can see there's this low resistance range above us. And then it's not showing you more, but yeah, there's this low resistance range above, but obviously there's this range just below us, which is a lot larger, and I think just better showcased on the 4 hour, um, where you can see that, yeah, there's a clear run below that, and then this was a bit of a fair value gap that we were filling on the daily. Yeah, it was a daily fair value gap below. So obviously, clearly more to the downside. Mm. Later, next day was clean. To the T. So traction was higher. Um, would have got a time-based liquidity sweep entry on this candle on the day, but true entry came the next day. So after, again, my entry was at 9 o'clock. Yeah, so I should maybe start taking note of that. Entry taken at kill zone open before retraction completed, because I see that as a recurring theme now, at least with the previous trade. Let's see. But that was obviously an order block that we came up to and respected before falling lower. One hour. I think this thing's gonna be nonsense, man. I guess all we can see here, I'm gonna just look at this 0.5 and this 0.618, which is basically 0.2. We can see that literally I took my entry, then we met equilibrium. So this was more of an inducement before coming into equilibrium, which we then got that sharp reaction from, which I'm finding we have a tendency to do. But then we ultimately respected it. So 1 hour, this 1 hour shift range did well, 1 hour EPD aligned with where the market protracted to, and it was 50% again. Now we look at daily and 4 hour EPD. So this is what I'd used as my EPD on the 4 hour, on the daily, I mean. So daily was at optimal trade entry. You can see it's between that 0.62 and the 0.79 level. So at daily, and it was still, yeah, still at EPD premium. Oh, man. I'm just looking for your trade. Is this thing tweaking now? Fetch that damn data. Okay, you can see our 4 hour it shifted structure. Why I was looking for longs? What does this plan say? Oh, it was just a low time frame sort of counter trend. So 4 hour was not at fair value. And again, this was incorrect bias, so there was nothing here, not applicable. When it comes to our tags on in this day in the session, this was actually a. So did we sweep any time-based liquidity first? We did. Let's look after I took the trade. Before, not really. We swept this because you can see this is the time. This is the when I took it, and we had just swept this, so it was more session liquidity. And we formed. This is the next day, so we formed a daily high as well as we protracted higher. It was about 1 o'clock, so not within my session. So a session time-based liquidity swept, daily high formed. And that's just going to also help me track which days we and which sessions we see highs and lows formed, I guess, most consistently over the weeks. And then if I look at setups, our daily in premium, so our pro trend should have been bearish. 4 hour was pro trend. We saw we had shifted structure on that 4 hour, and my entry was counter trend. And so I was essentially trading a pullback. See that 4 hour pro trend? We had shifted, so I was trading a pullback. And arguably there was a pullback there, but I just took it a bit late. I took it on the candle that formed the high. If we had taken it somewhere here, then yeah, potentially would have gotten something out of it. So that is a pullback rider. And we can say it was a late entry because there wasn't much of this move left. If there was a mistake or anything. And then here we were literally just targeting up to the 4 hour order block. Just looking at this is trade 2 here. You can see this was my TP. So it was we were essentially targeting buy or sell stops. Um, targeting buy sell stops. Yeah, that is all we can input for now. Mm, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna stop there. I hope you guys have gotten some insight into um, how you can review your own trades just in a bit more depth than you usually do, maybe on a daily or weekly basis. Um, but I think this kind of format or approach is, yeah, quite cool if you're if you're still developing a strategy, or maybe if you're doing like a quarterly review or monthly review, where you are trying to optimize the strategy that you're trading. So you're just trying to get some extra insights. Um, and so, yeah, I won't be doing, well, for now, I'll be doing it on like a 2 week kind of basis. But once I've started the challenge and I'm wanting to see a bit more live data from that plan that I enter the challenge with, then I'll probably do this kind of detailed review, probably at the end of the month. And the template will probably change, but if it does, I'll obviously do a live and take you guys through what the new sort of template is. Because yeah, that all kind of just goes into how we get better, how we refine, how we tweak, and yeah, how we just become better traders. And so be sure to check out the weekly review that's coming this weekend. Obviously, if you are only watching this post, after this week, then it's going to be the weekly review that was released on the 17th, 18th of August. I think it's weekly review number 22 or 21, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, don't forget, guys, consistency is the choice you make when you start doing the things you know you should be doing day in and day out. I'll see you guys soon.